We all have weaknesses that we face in everyday life, and Superman was no different. Superman was crippled by kryptonite, and every single one of us is crippled in some way or another by different situations or different people in our life. And we all have weaknesses that we must face. And, one of the things for me is that I have anxiety. My kryptonite, my crippling thing is driving anxiety. And, that's something that has cropped up in my life after and during my 20-year toxic marriage. And, when I think back to that, how that all started is I really felt all alone in my 20-year toxic marriage. And oftentimes I would feel like I wasn't emotionally supported and that I was all alone. And so it doesn't surprise me that, all of this kind of manifested itself in anxiety for me. And it does come up on trips when I'm driving by myself. And so I did have some of that on my last trip going to Central Oregon. And, the big things for me for when I handle anxiety is the first thing is for me is awareness. Is I am 100% aware that I do have driving anxiety. And it's just something that is aware, that I'm aware of and that I must have awareness about. And I've made friends with my anxiety. And it's just something that sometimes it happens on the record player and, it skips in there. And sometimes it doesn't. And, just being compassionate and kind to myself for when it does crop up. And when it doesn't, I'm so excited about that. And that means that I'm more in alignment with myself with all of that. The second thing that I do is I have a very robust self-care preparation for my trips. I have a self-care action plan that I put together for myself prior to any trip. And one is I need to make sure that I have an itinerary, that I have like where I'm going, all my documents, kind of my route, and what are the time hacks for when I need to get to my location. And also making sure that I don't leave late, that I leave in plenty of time. And I think, there's just not going to be a time when I leave late for a trip. And I'm never going to be like O.J. Simpson running through the airport. Like, that's just not me. Like, I will get up way early to be able to not have that stress of time that just eats in on my trip. So I have to make sure I have an itinerary, that I look at my time hacks for when I need to leave and that there's no rushing. I make sure that I hydrate and that I'm nourishing my body and I'm eating to my self-care plan. And that might mean packing enough snacks so that, as I go throughout my trip, that I'm eating things that are familiar to me and that are nourishing to my body. And then depending on when I need to get up for trips, there is always cold therapy. So that might mean a shower, or that also might mean, depending on the length of the trip, that might be having a cold bath. And that just really helps to chill my nervous system. And again, I do have holistic nutritional supplements that I take that will help tamp down my anxiety in my body. And I found those have been very helpful and just take a little chill out of my body and my brain and just help me to stay more in body. And then the third thing is that I have fun on my trip. I don't let anxiety get in the way. And like I said, I've made friends with it and I'm aware of it, but I also want to have fun and I don't want this to be constraining in any way to my life. I still want to live my life and I still want to have lots of fun. And I want to go on tons more trips. So I push myself to be able to keep doing this and keep expanding my horizons. And, sure, there are those little anxiety moments that might happen on my trip, but I really pay attention and I get into swift action plan for when those do happen. And some of my self-care tips in the moment have a lot to do with positive self-talk, like reminding myself that I've been on other trips. And, I actually do have a little notebook here that has my accomplishments and my trips, and has different airline trips, my boarding passes, and I just keep piling those up as a reminder that I've had fun and that I've done these things in the past. And it's just a really good reminder to, talk positively to myself. I also do tapping, there's the tapping technique for when I do have those moments, and I deal with those right in the moment. I don't let them, go on past 5 minutes or so. I try to deal with those things in the moment. I also have breathwork techniques that I also do, different breathing techniques for what might be coming up in my brain and my body. And, I think the most important piece is that I've just shared is that I have all these successes, and just reminding myself that I've had really great trips, and I've done this on my own, and I'm going to continue to do them. And I check in with myself throughout the trip. How am I feeling? How am I feeling in my body? How are my thoughts? And, again, another one is prayer. I am all into prayer before, during, and after my trip. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when I am in alignment with myself, that I'm acting in accordance with my core beliefs, with my core values, and I'm taking care of myself, and how I'm thinking about myself and how I'm feeling about myself, that there's little to no anxiety. That's just really curious, is that when I'm really having positive self-talk, and when I'm taking care of myself and my body and my mind, and I'm acting in accordance with my core values and my core beliefs, that there's no anxiety. And, that's really something for me, is making sure that I'm aligned with myself in mind, body, spirit, in my actions, and how I'm taking care of myself. And as I've said, there are those little moments of uncertainty that arise on my trip, but I take care of those like right in the moment. And I do some breathing, a little bit of tapping, and remembering that I've got this and that I've got myself. My question to you today is, do you have any kryptonite situations or people that cripple you in your life? And, share those if you feel comfortable. I'd love to hear, what may cripple you in everyday life. What are your weaknesses? And share those in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Take care.